Hi, welcome to Pink Amazon Therapy. My name is Eunice Mukimba. This is my tiny little corner of YouTube on YouTube, where I try to share as much positive, motivational, inspirational messages about self-help, about mental health, about my journey as a Christian, and just basically I'm just trying to utilize this small platform that I do have to just spread happiness and positivity and joy and peace and all the amazing stuff that we have to get in this world, okay? Because my tagline is enjoying every day purposefully. So I'm all about just waking up every morning and deciding that today is going to be a good day. Right now I'm filming, it's cold, but it's still going to be an amazing day. So welcome so much. If this is your first time, please subscribe to my channel, subscribe to Fadali, and click the notification bell so you'll get aware every single time I release something new, awesome and inspirational. Okay, after this video, please give me a like at the end of this video because I know you're going to enjoy it. We're going to speak about something that it's an important conversation for all of us to have. Okay, so I'm talking about stopping the cycle of abuse, stopping the cycle of narcissistic tendencies, stopping the cycle of toxicity, stopping the cycle of all the bad stuff that we keep carrying around and we spread around. Okay, so karibu sana, let's get started. So when we're talking about toxicity and unhealed trauma, because all this bad stuff comes from an unhealed trauma, okay? Each of the things that we do that are not necessarily the best parts of us, they come from not dealing with things that have happened to us before our present existence, okay? So let's talk about trauma. What is trauma? Trauma, psychological trauma, to be specific, is an experience or an event that happens to us as individuals where our minds and our brains are not able to handle the intensity of the situation, and we do not have the coping mechanisms to deal with the experience or the event. Okay, so it's an injury, it's a psychological injury. But the worst part about trauma is that not only is it just about our minds and our brains, it ends up being something that we experience even physically. A lot of today's everyday lifestyle diseases, that's what they're called, they are as a result of unhealed trauma. And I'll explain it a little bit more as we continue with the video. But basically all I'm saying is, if you're an individual right now and you're watching this, choose to be self-aware. Choose to realize that there are things that have happened to you that you've not been able to resolve in the healthiest of manner, and make a decision to resolve them so that the buck stops with you, the cycle stops with you, and that doesn't matter whatever has been done to you before this very day, that you make the decision to stop it and change it. Be the change that you actually want to see in this world. Do not continue in a relationship before you've handled your trauma, before you've healed from your trauma, okay? Because the buck stops with us. Let's heal ourselves so we can heal ourselves for our children, so we can heal ourselves for our loved ones, our relatives, our spouses, okay? This is all about just targeting unhealed trauma and being able to conquer it, all right? So let's talk about the symptoms of unhealed trauma. Like I said, unhealed trauma will manifest itself in physical ailment. In an extreme to that you will find people with unhealed trauma suffer from arthritis, they suffer from high blood pressure, they suffer from heart attacks, they increased risks of heart attacks, they are at increased risks of anxiety attacks. What happens is that our bodies respond to what our mind handled, okay? And therefore even physical pain can become so exacerbated because the mind is not in its proper form to handle trauma. So that is number one. That's our symptom, okay? A reminder, and I need to make this very well noted, that not all the symptoms happen that as long as you check off every single one of this, now you think you have unhealed trauma. Unhealed trauma just comes from generally any of the symptoms that I will list. Okay. A second thing to watch out for when we are talking about unhealed trauma is aggression. Aggression, even in children, is a sign of trauma, and unhealed trauma at that. Aggression most of the times is as a result of unhealed childhood trauma. These are things that could have happened to somebody, an individual, when they were children, and it's something that they haven't been able to heal. This could range from physical abuse to bullying to mental abuse to sexual abuse to any even loss sometimes, and sometimes it manifests itself as aggression. Another symptom of unhealed trauma is the inability to trust others. And this happens from people who have experienced childhood trauma, definitely do not have the ability to trust anybody after that. When we have been betrayed by people who were meant to support us and take care of us and look after us, we are unable to trust anybody else. Nobody else seems deserving of that trust. But also another situation that you can find yourself with unhealed trauma causing the trust issues is when somebody has been in a bad relationship, a toxic relationship. We even stop trusting people that we trusted before. We stop trusting our loved ones, our friends, our family members. It becomes very difficult to trust people, and that's a sign of unhealed trauma. Another sign of unhealed trauma is when people are experiencing unhealed trauma, they find themselves struggling with kind of dissociation, right? You're separated from your body. What happens when we experience trauma, like I said, it's more about a chemical connection with your mind, that your mind overproduces cortisol and adrenaline. Now, cortisol and adrenaline are in a fair amount. They're good because they help us react to things that are threatening. They're our fear hormones. They're what we use to be able to run or react to a scary situation when it happens. But when they're overproduced, they cause a change in our brain chemistry, and then that's when we find ourselves dissociated. It's basically, dissociation is like you feel like you're separated from your body and you feel like you're not the same. It's like you're a different human being and you're operating. It's like you're watching yourself live this life, but you're not there. You're not there. It's like you and your mind are two separate entities and you're just following through with life. So yeah, that's a sign and a symptom, and it's a very, very scary place to be in, because you tend to be very forgetful, you tend to be very spacey, you tend to have a very short attention span, and yeah, that's very detrimental to your health. So we've basically kind of covered the most common symptoms of trauma and unhealed trauma. Okay, so I do want a very polite reminder is that each and every one of us, I think finding somebody who has not experienced something traumatic is almost impossible. Okay, at this day and age, there is an existence of so much unhealed trauma, which means almost every one of us has experienced something that was traumatic. Okay, so that means this shouldn't be for you to point at a certain individual that you do know who might have unhealed trauma. It's a kind of a self-reflection talk, so that you can look at yourself and you can realize, hey, this thing did happen to me and I may not have been able to deal with it the best way possible, and it's affecting my behavior in this and this other way. Okay, so we've covered what trauma is and we've covered the symptoms of unhealed trauma. So in the second part of my video, I want to cover the sources of trauma, where you would look at and you would say, maybe this is where my trauma has stemmed from. We are also going to definitely discuss what you should look for in a therapist and what you should expect from a therapy session, a talk therapy session. That's what I will be referring to. And as well, what other symptoms of trauma are you aware of? Please share in the comment section down below. I also share a link in my description box on my WhatsApp. I give a link to my WhatsApp. I also give a link to a website where you can be able to book a session. And yeah, I will also leave a link to one of my blog posts on this same subject. Okay, so I hope this was definitely amazingly helpful, and God bless you, and let me see you in the next video. Okay, bye.